Hello, my name is Carlee Biesbrock, and my position presentation is about establishing an Olympic athlete's retirement support system. On page 61 of our book, a study done by Wheeler and his fellow researchers go into detail on the endeavors of athletes after their time competing. This study interviewed 40 athletes who identified themselves as elite athletes. When their athletic career came to an end, the transition into other spheres of life often presented challenges as they have to reinvest time and energy into other activities and relationships. Some experienced emotional problems and had difficulties during the retirement transition, whereas others, who accepted the end of their competitive careers, had fewer adjustment problems. I want to talk about this study as it relates to retiring Olympic and Paralympic athletes and the support they receive, as the book does not go into further details on how these athletes should adjust into the post-sports part of their life. So why is this topic worth debating? As you can see from this graph, it shows the age ranges by sport of U.S. athletes from 3 Summer Olympic Games that most Olympic athletes are competing while they are in their 20s. When I input my gender as female and age, 29 in a couple weeks, into the generator from the same site as this graph, it stated that I am the same age as Olympic athletes competing in the sport. More than 65 of U.S. Olympians are in their 20s, particularly those that require killer speeds such as sprinting and peak agility like sports in soccer, basketball, and volleyball. The graph also shows that the average Olympic athlete retire by their mid-30s. Can you imagine retiring at age 30 and not knowing what is ahead of you? Most Olympic and Paralympic athletes do not have to imagine, because that is likely their situation. The current jobs and salaries of Olympic athletes also are a reason for this debate. One study found that half of the athletes ranked high in their sport only made $15,000 annually from all sources of income. This includes endorsements, corporate sponsors, money won from competition, and grants to help them go and compete in the Olympics. The average salary of a college graduate is just over $50,000. Given the amount of time and work these athletes put into their training and competition, it does not make sense that they earn less than a living wage, especially when the Olympic Games generate the amount of money they do. This slide shows the regular job U.S. athletes hold while training for the Olympics. My position is that based on the findings of this initial study, I believe the U.S. Olympic Organization should develop a retirement support system for all of its Olympic and Paralympic athletes. This system will help them transition into career after their time competing for their organization is done. The first argument is that the lack of support system is detrimental to the Olympic and Paralympic athletes. I will go over the 2 cases of athletes who struggled in their post-Olympic/Paralympic careers and how these athletes' stories might have been different if there was a system in place. The second argument is that there is an abundance of financial resources to support athletes after competing at the Olympic level. I will go over the IOC, how much money they make from the Olympics, and where that money goes. The third and final argument is that there are other examples of support systems in professional leagues that help athletes prepare them and transition into their post-competition careers. The lack of a support system is detrimental to athletes. Emily Clue and Chelsea Gotell are 2 examples of athletes who would have benefited from an organized support system. Emily Clue was an elite swimmer who was named Big Ten Swimmer of the Year and won an NCAA championship while swimming collegiately. She also competed professionally until 2016 while representing USA Swimming. While competing, she was able to find another passion to pursue after retirement from swimming. She was ready to step away from the sport, but she had her struggles to adjusting to retirement. Her challenge was learning to use what the sport taught her in the real world. Competition while swimming is different than competing in the workforce. That transition provided a learning curve for Emily. She was able to transition successfully, as she is now a clinical athletic counselor for the U of M Athletic Department's Performance Psychology Center. She provides direct clinical care to student athletes, consults with coaches, conducts team presentation, creates educational programming, and works interactively with support staff. Chelsea Gotell is the athlete in the middle of the picture. She was a Paralympic swimmer who competed in 4 Paralympic Games and won 12 medals that are outlined on this slide. She also struggled with her transition from Paralympic athlete to a career outside the pool. Now on the Canadian Athlete Council and the IOC Athletes Commission, she is determined to improve the situation for athletes like her in the future. While competing, she attended a university in Canada to obtain a degree in psychology. Her team was able to support her during the process of retirement and help her through a back injury. Chelsea managed to overcome these issues along with some mental health problems. Having experienced the gap of support in the Canadian athletic system and how these athletes are often put to the side once done competing, she is working to advocate for athletes like her and voice their concerns with the current system. Both of these athletes, Chelsea and Emily, would have benefited from a system that educated and prepared them for a life after sports. The second argument for creating a retirement support system for Olympic and Paralympic athletes are the financial resources created by the Olympic and Paralympic Games themselves. The International Olympic Committee, also known as the IOC, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to using the revenue generated from the Games to assist athletes and develop sports worldwide. This organization made $5.7 billion from 2013 to 2016. 90% of the revenues from the Games go straight back into the sport and athlete development for future Olympic Games. The IOC also keeps more than half of all television revenue, which is typically the single largest chunk of money generated by the Games. On this slide, we see how much money an athlete earns for a gold, silver, or bronze medal by country. For U.S. athletes, they make $37,500 for gold, $22,000 for silver, and $15,000 for bronze. While that might look like a lot of money winning a single event, it does not count for the countless hours for practice and training spent getting to the Olympic stage. Athletes often must work another full-time job in addition to their training in order to afford to compete in the Olympics, and their financial reward for competing is not even guaranteed unless they medal. The third and final argument is that there are other professional leagues with support systems for their athletes during and after their careers. The 4 major leagues in the U.S. sports, NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, all have pension plans that support their athletes after they retire from their respective leagues. The MLB has the best pension plan out of the sports mentioned in this slide. They paid out $165 million in pension plan payments in 2016, with the average player receiving about $50,000 per year. The chart on the slide shows how much an MLB player with 10 or more years of service earns when making their pension at certain ages. Regarding the other leagues, the NBA offers $57,000 per year for a minimum of 3 years of service at the retirement age of 62, and $195,000 per year for 11 years of service at the retirement age of 62. The NBA also matches their players with their 401k up to 140%. The NHL requires players to have 160 games or more of service to receive a maximum pension of $45,000 per year. The NFL requires 3 years of service for players to receive a pension of $21,000 at the retirement age of 55. The average pension for these players is $43,000 per year. The NFL also matches 401k contributions as much as 200%. While these numbers may seem low compared to the millions per year athletes in the sport make while playing, it is more than that of Olympic athletes who receive no pension after retirement. In addition to pension plans, these leagues also offer programs to help their athletes adjust to their current and post-playing careers. The NBA requires all first-year players to participate in the Rookie Transition Program, the RTP. This program was created in 1986 and covers topics such as financial management and education, rest and recovery, media relations, nutrition, career development, and general career development, among other things. RTB is a 4-day program, but the NBA treats the entire process as a year-long program by providing players the tools and education needed to adjust to playing in the league. The RTP is the longest running and most extensive athlete support system in professional sports. Another league in the major U.S. sports, the NFL, has a program that helps retired players adjust to the end of their playing careers. The Player Care Foundation, PCF, is an independent organization dedicated to helping retired players improve their quality. The PCF addresses all aspects of their lives by providing programs and assistance with medical, emotional, financial, social, and community issues. While researching support systems, I did find 2 programs for Olympic athletes. These programs, while helpful, struggle to make lasting impacts with athletes. The first program from Team USA is a free program called ACE Pivot Workshop. This program helps a maximum of 16 athletes after their Olympic retirement. It does not include any visually impaired or blind athletes, and it only provides support for a year. This program only offers a drop in the bucket compared to what is offered to all other athletes. The second program is Athlete 365. This program is in its beginning phases for helping Olympic athletes, and as a result, does not currently help many Olympic athletes. However, by looking at what other leagues have done, it could become a system that helps former athletes get the support they need while competing and through retirement. By looking at the case studies of 2 athletes who went through the process of competing at an Olympic level and then transitioned from being an athlete, we can see where the current system has failed to help athletes. Using the financial resources created by these athletes and following the examples of leagues that provide support for athletes during and after their careers, we can provide the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic organizations with a roadmap to developing a system that helps those that sacrificing their time and bodies to compete for them. Here are my questions for the class. How do you think Olympic and Paralympic athletes should get their support after retiring? What arguments would you make in favor or against my proposal for Olympic and Paralympic athlete support systems? Here are my works cited. Thank you for viewing my presentation.